Ooh, I got a smoky there.
I'm in the zone. I'm getting in the zone.
Dang it! How'd you do that? Oh, dude, now you're kicking my butt. Man!
Yeah. That's how we do it. You know how we do it?
There we go. Take that.
Yeah. All right. All right, cool. You know what? That was pretty awesome.
That was a great game. Oh, we're supposed to start a show?
But yeah, you know what's better than that?
What?
Calling all retro gamers.
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 What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Calling All Retro Gamers, your semi-bi-weekly just excuse to just hang out and have fun with some retro stuff. I'm one of your hosts, of course, Rich. I'm here with Retro Killer Stein, the Evercade Effect himself. What's going on?
Yeah. We are using super new technology to be able to play each other. That's all I can
Yes. So super new technology.
You all probably thought we really were. I bet you.
Yeah.
Did it. What better Atari themed? I know this is like from my flashback and my 2600 hat and shirt and
rocking the wireless flashback controller from the Flashback 5.
Yep.
It's good stuff, man. Because yes, today is Atari night, I guess. Because there is massive amounts of Atari news. Just everywhere. It's just crazy. It's just crazy times. But before we jump into any of that and talk all of the retro goodness, we got to say hi to Fan of Fiction. What's going on, man? Ian Hobbies in here. What's going on? Ian's playing Sydney Hunter and Caverns of Death on the Evercade right now.
Oh, nice.
Excellent stuff. I am not playing that because it's still here in this package. I haven't even opened it.
Man, dude, all I can say is you've got like crow fever.
Yeah, and there's things in this box. Don't know what they are. That's it. I'm getting there. Man, I am unburying myself from all sorts of crazy stuff. It's just, like the vacation was awesome. Like hanging out with everybody was awesome. It was great playing games while I was out there. Some games that I can speak about sometimes. Some of them that are like we're in the testing mode because I do that sometimes. That I couldn't. Some of those games came out or are about to come out or something like that. I mean, they basically announced. Let me see. I'm gonna check on one of them that I might be able to talk about a little, which is kind of cool. Before we get into the Atari stuff too, Phantom's playing Civ 6 while watching. That's pretty cool. I gotta go on Steam. I gotta go on Steam real quick to see if I can say something.
Let me see if it's released.
Yeah, let me see if I'm gonna get in trouble.
At least you can check.
Yeah, right. So let's see here. That's pretty funny. I opened Steam, and it opened to that page for the Spectre files, like that like a FMV video game that Crow was talking about, and I was like, oh, that's kind of weird that I remembered that.
Nice. Yeah, he's supposed to do a video on that at some point. I'll be looking out for that because that seems crazy. Right now, he's like typing Barbie Dreamhouse the game. Oh, can't talk about it yet. No.
So yeah. So I can talk about this. So I'm just gonna share the screen as Shay
Go for it.
To share which game I was able to check out. And then I want it so bad on a platform that may or may not be Steam, but I might just have to buy it on Steam because it is really good. But what is that game I'm talking about? Let's see. There it is.
Oh yes.
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 It's so good. It's so good. Like if you guys like RPG action if you certainly like wrestling action, like classic wrestling action, we're talking Macho Man Randy Savage is like directly quoted like in this game. Like one of your main character, your player character is like a Macho Man devotee. You know, like he like it's almost like he like says like it's almost like a little like wrestling prayer to like a poster of Randy Savage. It's like the best.
Nice.
And it's got a lot of character, it's got a lot of heart. And it's really fun. Like it's super, super fun to play. And it's just awesome. And I was able to check this one out.
Oh, nice.
A little bit ahead of time, and it's really, really cool. And I definitely said, like, and meant it, that like, hey, this is a Mega Cat Studios game. Yes, it looks pretty quote unquote advanced, but I don't think this is anything that like your VS or EXP can handle.
Scroll down. What are the system requirements?
Let's see. What do we got here? I gotta go over here to do that.
Under the Giant Man.
Yeah, right. Let's see. Where is the? It is playable on Steam Deck.
There we go.
System requirements. 64-bit operating system, Intel 5, i5 750 or equivalent, 8 gig of RAM, the GTX 670, and DirectX 11.
How much space?
It says 15 gigs available space, but I don't think it was that big. Well,
they could always downport it,
Right, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, like they could do the work if they wanted to do that. And maybe there is a lot of high resolution audio, so maybe they tone that down for a port or something like that. But how cool would that be?
Heck yeah, man. Yeah, it's been on my wish list like forever.
Or something like that.
Yeah, I'll definitely be picking this up at some point.
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool. So yeah, so that was one of the things that I was able to check out and play, prior to its release.
And we know how. Oh, really but you know how cool it is, and I forgot I still have this.
Oh yeah!
I still have a Macho Man here.
Yeah. Phantom's like, this is a nice looking game. Definitely getting this. Yeah, man. It was so much fun. It was so much fun. And to be honest, like if it was like one of those things that we could just, like if we could just have like everywhere, like put it on here and Switch and Xbox, PlayStation, like pop it on an Evercade cart. Like it's, I think everyone needs to play this.
Heck yeah.
It's just a cool, fun game. But yeah, so that was that. And then of course, all of my Evercade EXP exploits were told. I couldn't believe that I went through that first run on Rogue 64 in one sitting while I was on the plane. I was just like, awesome. That was crazy. Oh, Phantom just said he got the Star Trek pinball on Pinball FX.
You know what?
Crow put out a video for that pinball table.
He did?
Today, yeah. And it was one of those ones where I'm like, I was on break just at the end, but I still watched like the first 3 or 4 minutes of his video because it's like, I got to see this thing. And man, does he does like really super high resolution captures of his Pinball FX program when he does his video. That table looks sweet. It looks absolutely sweet. Yeah, Crow's video. I mean, he always does great videos, but I mean, he loves pinball, so he like really gets into it. So yeah,
it's on his. Cool. That's okay. You know what? I'm not subbed to his pinball channel. Oh, yeah, I forgot.
That's do the Crow pinball, man. I'm subbed to the Crow Continuum verse.
Okay,
every channel he's got, I'm subbed.
Shame on me. All right, I need to. Okay, I subbed to that. I'm like, no wonder I forgot. For some reason, I thought he kept his main channel in Evercade.
Yeah. Well, oh, you mean like the Crow Continuum and Crow Evercade? Yeah, he still has the other ones though. There's like there are those 2 other ones. But hey, it's Enrique. What's going on? He says, "Hey guys,
Hey.
Pinball FX is great, but not optimized to Steam Deck." Yeah, I've heard that from others too. But I'm imagining that if there's enough push from the community, they'll do it. They'll get it done.
Yeah, that's what I got it because like I remember Crow saying it's free and you get like a couple tables, and that's what I probably would do is download and play that and see how well it plays on deck, and then
right, exactly, and then go for that. I heard the Star Trek table is only $10.
Yes, yeah.
So that's like I was like, oh, well, that's a win for Star Trek fans. You know what I mean? You know, and
heck yes.
And it's not, I think it's the next generation table too.
Yes, so that makes it even better. Yes.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, come on. You got to get this.
That's why I think I might have played it because, like, because I was saying, like, when you pull the plunger back, like it says, like, engage or make it so, and he's like, it definitely does. So I'm like, I want to say maybe I played it. I don't know. I've at least seen that. But
I have at least seen that table live at a place. I don't know if I've ever played it, but yeah, I've definitely done that. Phantom's like one of my favorite tables.
Snoopy table. Huh.
That's awesome. I would love a Snoopy table too.
Good
the most
grief.
impressive table I've ever seen though was somebody got a Star Wars table, and it was like I think it was like Star Wars Trilogy pinball or something like that. I forget exactly what it was. The table was absolutely massive. The guy had it in his house, and like I was working as like I was working for back when I was working for MSP. I did work for a whole bunch of different like school districts, right? Like as that's what I do for a living. I'm an IT guy. So I was there to do a project, and the guy we had on site, because we had people deployed to sites that would just like show up there every day, and that was their job. Only though like to work at third party or whatever.
Yeah.
So he was friends with this other guy that worked as a full time, like I think it was like the graphic arts teacher or something like that. And he was like he came in like jazzed. I went into his office. He's like, dude, you have to come with me on lunch. I'm like, all right, yeah, where are we going? He's like, we're going to this dude's house. He's just got a pinball table. He just put it together. You have to see this thing. I'm like, okay. So we went over to this guy's house and we walked in, and I'm just expecting to see like, oh, hey, it's a cool table and it's classic and whatever. Yeah. I mean, this thing had like a subwoofer in it, and a full LED screen, and then like something else. Like, and then like as you got your like multi-ball bonus, and like if you like hit the right targets or whatever, like there was something else that happened on the like under the LCD screen. There was another screen that like you could do things on. There was like another game that happened in the screen, and then your ball came back out, and then you go back to the table. It was wild, and I was like, dude, this table's awesome.
Damn.
And that was probably the most impressive table I've ever seen.
So while we're on the topic of pins, funny. Yeah. So because like my wife has seen them at least like twice in concert. I saw them one. It's actually it's
Rush.
Yes.
Oh man.
And one of the bands that me and her like really like. Yeah. And I've shown her videos on the pinball, and it's like really cool, especially the deluxe model. But it is one of those ones that if we had the means, like definitely we would be getting that, and we would both. It would see like a lot of play from both of us. But yeah,
like a rush table.
Yes, they did it. Because I don't think like a Queen table exists officially. I don't think, but something.
Oh
like
yeah. That'd be cool too. Yeah.
Oh, Freddie Mercury. Oh my God.
Did you see like when you saw them play, right? Did they play YYZ?
I think because it cycles through. I can't remember, but I think they.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that's probably like.
I think when they did it, they might have actually they might either there was like a lot of noise going on, or I don't know if they showed more of the unpopular because they didn't get like copyright strikes or anything, which is normally
okay.
16 times in concert. Oh my God,
16 times. That's awesome.
Damn,
that's awesome. Yeah. I've got a lot of concerts under my belt. I think the band that I've seen the most in concert is probably Reliant K, and I've seen them like I think 7 times in various places. So that's pretty cool. Yeah.
But yeah, those pinball, especially like I think that one was like at least 10, 12K. A lot of the newer ones are like
yeah. Yeah, and Enrique says, nice, but you'd also have to be able to repair or consider the cost of repair on a real table. Yeah. I mean, it's an investment for sure. Like anyone that owns a table at their house, that's straight up an investment.
I wonder though if you get a newer, but if you get a newer pin though, I would, and it's just you playing it. Like, would you? I mean, I would think that it wouldn't break down after a while because it's just you. It's not like a bunch of people.
Yeah. Well, but you never know, right? Things happen in your house, or like there could be electric surges, or like weird things could happen. You would hope that they're built to withstand that kind of thing, but you just never know, right?
It seems, it seems like the home arcade world. It's even like I've like seen some videos like people getting like custom like multi-cades, and there's always like something. So it seems like, I don't know, unless you have like something that's pre-built, it's you can find stuff that's plug and play.
Yeah.
But you might have to spend. You're gonna have to spend like a lot of money unless you want to, or you can do a lot of DIY yourself and just get like the cabinets, put in your own PC and monitor, and man.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but yeah, no, that's all good stuff. I think for me though, if I ever got into it, right, I was like, oh, I want to really play some pinball. Like, one, I could play on the cabinet right there, on the Legend Ultimate, because I've got my pinball. I got my pinball like buttons, so I could just play pinball on that. But if I was going to do any kind of upgrade specifically for pinball, I would probably get the Legend Ultimate Pinball, the one that Crow has always in the back of his thing.
Heck yeah.
And get some digital tables. It would be cool if I could get like those tables though. Like if I can get that like next generation table, that would be rad. But because I think it doesn't do. I don't know if they do pinball effects on those. I think they do the other stuff. They do some other pinball pack or something like that.
Yeah.
So, but
yeah. Google the I don't know if they make them though. There's like a limited edition of like the Halloween, like pinball table, and like the special edition one. I think had I don't know if it's like the full Michael Myers or at least like his hand with the.
No way. There's one of those.
Yeah. Google. I think that one's like the limited edition, but I don't know if they make. But yeah, that would be enough. Yeah,
that would do it for me too.
I know you're a huge Halloween fan, but of course,
oh my goodness,
too. But yeah, I know like people that make custom pinballs. I forget who it was. I think it might have been Retro Ralph, but someone made like a custom like Sonic. Like and like those were like it was like some of those homebrew tables like that was like well done that it could be like an official thing. So yeah, it's the hobby is crazy, but anything like that in arcades, yeah, you've got to there's going to be like some maintenance and
it's wow, look at that.
Yeah, pretty crazy stuff.
Oh wow. All right, so this gotta like before we go to Atari land, we gotta like. That's look at that.
Yeah,
that is.
I don't know if they show the top crazy. Of it, but the topper. Hey, he has like his knife up there, but even still, yeah, I know that's.
Look at that! Look at the field. Looks like, oh man, it's like the living room. Him as a kid. Oh man, Loomis.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm sure they probably also have like see the topper like
oh man, that's so crazy.
Yeah, it's a deluxe edition. I'm sure they probably have like a Freddy Krueger one, but still that Halloween that one is just like that's amazing.
That is wild.
Oh wow, the side panel, yeah.
Oh my goodness, man. I mean, this got to be like super expensive, but
yeah, I think that it was like over 10. That's what I mean. They're at least like $8+ grand. I mean, I think some of the ones. Like the non-deluxe, like maybe like 5 or 6. Not of Michael Myers, but it's like the ones that like Stern puts out.
Yeah. Dude, that's awesome. Though.
I know it's insane, right?
Oh man, that is awesome. All right, let's talk about some more awesome stuff.
Yes.
All right, let's slide directly from crazy pinball stories into the Atari news. Atari, like I want to start this off by just saying, Atari is on an absolute tear. Like from the beginning to mid, well, certainly from the beginning of this year, but I would say even maybe from mid 22 through now, like it has been nearly every 2 weeks something that's not only just like okay, but kind of major happening in the Atari sphere. Certainly from the beginning of 2023, I could like, what kind of like turnaround is this? I mean. And I get it. Like they're building up, right? The Atari VSCS launch happened. It was as good as they could possibly get it. The machine started to come out. People got it. People played. There were some games. There was not a lot. after that. Maybe there are a little more games, and then a little more games, and then I guess they started building traction. They started building an audience, and it basically gave them enough liquidity to do some more things. They started with the XP collectors carts, and that was like various forms of success for people. A lot of people liked them. I didn't necessarily buy in. I didn't get any of those.
They were a wee bit expensive for what
they were. Some of them were a little expensive. Those
they were like
collector's
$100, I
editions.
think.
Yeah. So, well, some of them were actually up to 150. I want to say.
Yeah.
But again, super collectors want to get them all. They hop in, they do whatever. I really actually appreciated the fact that they leaned in more to the regular marketing stuff. You can get hats and T-shirts and all sorts of other stuff. And then came Atari 50, really. And at Atari 50, when they announced not only the game collection and their partnership with Digital Eclipse, but they also went above and beyond with the rest of the merchandising stuff. You can get an Atari 50 shirt, you can get an Atari 50 hat, you can get like whatever, and then just kind of like build up more nostalgia. I think all of that just kept greasing the wheel so it could keep turning. And then you look back at the Atari VCS after that launch in October, November, and then again, it's like week after week after week. There's another release here, another release there, another release there. And not just from third parties, but also from Atari themselves. The Recharge series has been, again, awesome stuff. And they just keep coming with them. And, we're the ninth game, right? Quantum Recharge just came out 2-3 weeks ago. And then that means it's the start of another set of 4. So we're going to get another 3 Recharge games at least to bring us to 12, which is going to be great. That's a great little package. And then I would have never thought, right? When they first did the first ones, it was like, oh yeah, we'll probably get 8, maybe 10, and then then we're done. And it'll be all the big hits, but they're pulling deep cuts like Quantum and Black Widow and all this other stuff. So it's pretty awesome.
Yes, and don't forget they just came out with you can pre-order the Arcade 1-Up like 50th anniversary.
Yep.
The limited, which I think basically because like the Centipede one was really popular, so I think it's like they took that, they put all the Centipede games with the trackball, and then they put like 50 Atari 2600 games on there too.
Yep.
And so that's kind of like tons of like and it's interesting because I kind of feel like at the top of the list as far as like companies caring about IPs, like Atari's up there, Nintendo's at the bottom. Like Sega's like maybe somewhere towards the top, but they actually care about like older assets and stuff, and they realize that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
They have stuff to sell. So
it's cool. I think it's cool when you have somebody that's at the top of the brand now with
hey, Mr.
Hey,
Shua.
what's up, Mr. Shua? What's going on?
You're not late.
Not hardly. We're in the hangout zone, man. But yeah, it's nice to see like somebody like Wade Rosen, he's a CEO, he's like the big wig, he's doing whatever, he's obviously got a team under him, but for the most part it looks like he's calling the shots. But it's nice to see him positively show reverence for the brand as he's in that leadership role, because it makes the rest of the fans go, okay, cool. Well, maybe this guy's going to do something right. Henry, yeah, absolutely. It was that Quantum video was absolutely crazy times, and yes, it's so hard. It's so ridiculously Quantum Recharge is so ridiculously difficult. I need to play for the rest of the weekend to even get in tune with it, but I want to. I actually want to put in there. I will say this though. I played Quantum, and then I played Puzzledorf. And I will tell you, Puzzledorf will probably eat most of my time this weekend over Quantum, because I just really want to play that. And then there's that new tilting tiles or something like that. That's going to be coming out tomorrow for the VCS. The new puzzler there. I'm probably going to play that too. So, well, of course, if it hits the store. That is Friday's Fun for 5.
Nice. So let's So I kind of want to talk about my first thoughts. Like I know, like when you told me about it, when I saw things, and
it gets to the announcement, right?
I kind of want to talk about some of the pros and the cons, and what some things that maybe set it apart. you know, my excitements, my concerns, and all that.
Absolutely. So
and all that good stuff.
So it leads us all right to talking about, like, so what did they go? Where do they go from there? What do they do next? They announced this. They announced the Atari 2600 Plus, and you're like, wait, what is this thing? What is this thing? And it's pretty neat. You know, like, so I'm gonna leave that as it's pretty neat, and then I'm gonna hand it to you because, you know, like, go ahead and give your opinions too, and then I'll come back on the other end because I've already, you know, like, I talked about it at launch. We had the news line and all that kind of stuff, so a lot of people know what I already had to say, but I do definitely want to hear your opinions.
Gotcha. So, you know, so stipulations will definitely, so people know, like, the 2600 was my first official console, you know, that I had. And so the things I like about, like, this thing is like 100% like nostalgia for those, and I'll, like, you know, for this type of thing, because, you know, as we know, you know, and we kind of like say this about like Evercade, like, yes, there's a million different ways that you can play these games if you want to, but it's just kind of the experience, right? And so one thing I want to say, like, I think one of the reasons, like, I didn't get the Retron was because of the aesthetic, like the Retron 77, because it's just a cube, right? And then you can like, you really kind of felt that was just kind of more like an emulation box. And then you're like, well, it is kind of cool. I can use this joystick, and if I wanted to, I could have it be dedicated and sideload that. But, you know, definitely like the aesthetic, there's something to be said. It's like, you know, one of the reasons why Arcade 1-Up is so successful. So with this, I'm glad that they didn't choose, like, they picked the 2600 versus the 7800 because maybe it's just the nostalgia. I mean, but I won't say the 7800 it's an uglier console, but there's something unique to the Atari 2600. You know, maybe it's the nostalgia talking, but there's just something like
I
really
100% agree with you though.
You know, you're really beautiful about the way this. So like, like regardless of what it plays, that was the smartest move that they said. Hey, the 2600 Plus. I think there's a lot of people, like, you know, our age and our 40, like, this was the first console, right?
Yeah.
And you know, so a few things. Yeah, they nailed the aesthetic. I think it's great that they list a feature that the Atari logo lights up. I think that's awesome. Yeah. They have the controller. I don't know if the things on the side are metal, but they even have that. They've got all the dip switches and all that. So that all looks great. Like they nailed that. Now, so let's talk. So the things I do like, of course, that it does take cartridges. Like, and that's why that's the main selling point. Like, if this was, like, 'cause otherwise, if it didn't, then you're just looking like at another one of these flashback consoles. You know, this one is like the Flashback 2, and I did want to point out this has wired in bad AV cables. That's just like motto.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I could maybe do some surgery so that, you know, that is a huge plus, being able to do HDMI, because even if you wanted to buy like a 2600 console modded, it's going to be AV, and it's difficult to play. It's difficult to play on its TV. So I like the fact of where they're going, and that this exists, and that it does take cartridges, so that they, you know, that they nailed. So there's some things. So that they nailed that. The one thing though is that the price, like, $129. I think that's a little bit on the higher end for what they're asking. Is even, I mean, granted, this is more than just like the Sega Mini, but it's a little on the high side. Like, I think if this was under the $100 price point, it would be like 100% like a pre-order for me before even seeing it.
Sure.
You know, when you kind of look at that and you look at the VS, it is, but I mean, it's the Atari brand, so I get they can command that. Although I kind of wish for the $129.99 that it would have like come with like the paddles and stuff. But, you know, I get that.
That would have been a nice touch if it was like, okay, so even if you did single controller and you get the paddle controller, and then on the 10 game list, one or two of those games was paddle compatible, that would be cool.
Yeah,
that would have been cool. I can kind of see that argument with the 129, the price point. However, so like I'm looking right now, right? So you can go on Amazon, or like there's basically everywhere, like, you know, Newegg, everything else. The Retron 77 is $80, 79 something, right? 79 and change, 78 and change. It's basically $80. So, but at $80, you get the Retron that can't play 7800 games, and this plays 7800 games.
Exactly.
That's a huge feature set for me.
The minis have no cards. So yeah, I'm hoping the good things. Maybe this will pave the way for mini consoles in the future. So let's talk about like the good and the bad. I think it's cool they give you at least a cart to start with the, have the dip switches on it, and you'll get that Atari feel. Comes, of course, like for that price, maybe they should have given you 2 controllers, but whatever.
Sure. I mean, or 2 controllers at that price point also would be.
Yeah.
I would say instantly that's a great deal.
Yeah.
If it was 2 controllers, that cart, and the system for $129.99, slam dunk. Yeah.
You know I wish you could have bought it like under $100, maybe no controller. I don't, maybe different pricing options for people who who know where to buy some of like the official controllers cheap, whatever. So, but it's not like it's $200 or $150, which would have been ridiculous. So it's like fine, it's a little bit on the so that's the good part, and I think they nailed the aesthetic. So it's like if everything looks as good quality as in the pic, like that, that'll be all awesome. It's HDMI, no messing with like RF or doing that other stuff.
Right.
But then here's the questionable concern. Like with me, like I don't care if it's like FPGA or emulation, or actually the only reason, like as far as like how it's emulating it, the only I want to say better thing about if it was, let's say, like FPGA, or let's say if they recreated the hardware, then you would know the game for compatibility would be like 100%. You know what I mean?
Well, the only thing about that though is there are certain things that I guess if it was truly FPGA, then it would be FPGA for I guess it would be it would be a 7800 and a 2600 box.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And I'm guessing it would have cost more, and they would have had to like re-engineer. Emulation's much easier, but as far as like playing adventure, it's like, are the yellows gonna, stuff like the colors, like maybe side by side, you're not really gonna notice like that much of a, that much of a difference where it's gonna be that important. There you go. There's the controller.
This is the Retron controller. Yeah.
But compatibility. The good thing that I think for me, I am gonna wait for, because John Hancock has pre-ordered it. And he has a lot of like aftermarket games. He has his own he's going to test the crap out of it. So I think
that's good though. Yeah. What gives me confidence though is when we talk about stuff like the compatibility list, which we can get into right here, hardware compatibility list. I gotta share.
Yes, yeah.
I gotta share another
screen. The butt StreamYard is.
Yeah, sometimes.
But yeah, you're saying like the 7800, like that's like an upsell. And then I'll tell you in a moment, kind of my dilemma is the market, FOMO, and all that, kind of all that other stuff that I want to we'll get to. But yeah, I mean the compatibility list. Yeah, here we go.
So here's what I want to say though, right? And I said this on the newsline. They acknowledge that other like main third-party games exist that would qualify in the homebrew feel, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Circus Convoy being on this list, even though it's untested, gives me hope that Atari realizes that there are games that came out after 1990, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, and that tells me that okay, while there might not be on this list, there might be homebrews that are there that will actually either are compatible or could be compatible. Now, there's some questions about compatibility that I have, like, is this thing able to be sideload updated using that USB port, right? Can you plug it into your computer and download like a firmware patch or something like that,
yes,
on the Evercade, and then expand compatibility that way? Why not? Right?
Yeah, because there's no SD card slot. There's like 250 gigs.
Yeah, there's 256 megs of eMMC memory on that thing. And certainly not all of it needs to be the operating system and the emulator. Right?
So here's another geeky question that's kind of a concern. So do we think like, is it going to actually play the games off the cart, or is it going to dump it first?
So I actually reached out, and it was to a customer service rep to like ask where to ask. So, and I haven't gotten a response yet, but I do intend to chase down the answers,
and I'll tell you
some of those questions,
and I'll tell you why I care. Because so if you get like in the Evercade, like it plays it off the cart. So I mean, other than the fact of maybe that might upset some people, here's my only concern is that is it going to dump it? Or I hope, let's say every time, let's say if you put in a game, if it does dump it, because 250 gigs is a lot. Like I think you could probably fit the whole Atari library like on a few floppies.
Right.
If it does dump it, I'm fine with that, as long as I hope that it recognizes, like, once the game is dumped, it doesn't keep writing it. Because I was thinking, like, over time, eventually, if you keep writing too many times, like anything else, it could get
sure. Yeah.
So I'm fine with that. Like, I might be like, oh, it's already dumped it. It recognizes what cart's in there and it plays it locally. I would be fine with that.
Mm-hmm.
I just hope it doesn't just keep dumping it over again. I'm sure eventually, like anything else, will be hacked and you'll be able to sideload stuff. But to me, that's dumb though, right? Like if you play like Nintendo, or if you could play, all the other games, like that's still kind of like, so for me, like if I get one of these, like I know you can use different controllers, but in my opinion, like if you're not using it like a Atari, doesn't have to be a 2600, but if you're not using some type of joystick, then that's part of the experience. So here's another concern that I have. So I would assume, like, if I got Food Fight and I pop it in there, I should be able to use my 2600 controller because it's just a one button game.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. I mean,
but on the opposite end, I want Atari to realize that there are people that are fans of the 7800 controller, and I want them to release that too.
Yes, because what happens if I play like Ninja Golf, right? Because that game requires two buttons, one for jump and attack.
Right. And then according to the compatibility list, let's see if they tested it.
I think it is there. Because then that is one thing that was kind of a miss. Like to your point, I'm surprised you can't buy like you can't buy 7800 controller, because for other games, like an official new stock.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, and you never know. Like it's coming out in November. They just announced it, and then everything is about the 2600, right?
Yeah.
But you never know.
Can get
maybe
a
month or two later, they're like, "Oh yeah, by the way, here's your 7800 controller."
Yeah. And you can plug in a Sega Genesis controller, but for me, like, I'm not going to do that.
Right.
Even though like I would be much better playing the game with a D-pad, I want the experience. So here's kind of my dilemmas and FOMO and stuff like that. So definitely, like, no doubt, this is a cool device. If it does what it says, it plays things, the compatibility is there, and let's say they update firmware. For me, I have two issues. And that is kind of like, is this like, if I do end up getting this, of course it's going to be awesome and you're going to play it, but then is it going to be because, I love Atari. It's on the Evercade. Evercade's coming out with newer. Is it going to be something that maybe once I get it in my system, am I still going to play it, or does it just become a shelf piece? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's kind of that's kind of because for me. So here, Retro Rise, there's two things that are really nostalgic, and I may be able to get that or one of those two for Christmas. For some reason, I still also really want some type of vertical handheld, like either like a modified Game Boy or something just for nostalgia, or do I want some other handheld? Like those, those are like Ed struggles. So I don't know. So it's kind of falls into that. And then here's the other dilemma that goes in with that. I know right now, like at Game Over games, like most Atari games, I want to say $5 or $6, and I want to say like most 7800 games are priced pretty cheap right now. Like they're like they're maybe $10. So then and I still have some stuff I could trade in. But what I definitely could see happening is once this hits the market, I wouldn't be surprised if 7800 games shut up in value.
Yeah.
Because everybody's going to want those. So then I have to decide, like, do you pre-order, do you not? I could trade it. Like, do I just get a bunch of games, kind of hold on to it just in case? Because when the prices go up, so those are, is this just FOMO? I mean, it's, am I still going to want to play it later just because I have a bunch of devices? Those are, either way, I think it's great that they have this, that this exists and they have it out there. But those are kind of like the pros and cons for everything. Could this be cheaper later on? Are they going to sell out? So much unknown.
Yeah, I know. And I'm with you on that, because you just never know. But as far as I'm concerned, the second they said you can stick a 7800 cartridge, turn it on, and it works, I'm in.
Yeah,
that's it. Because I've always wanted, specifically, because I'm the guy, I'm the weird guy that loves the 7800. I'm the weird guy that loves the Master System. I'm that guy, right? So, but when I was trying to do things that I wanted to do that were kind of unique for the channel, like for when I was doing like the whole YouTube thing, it was like, I want to share what it felt to be like, to be me when I was younger, and what did I have? I had a 7800, and I played a lot of 2600 games on that thing. Don't get me wrong, but I also played a ton of my 7800 games. And, like, I was like, oh man, I really want to show people those 7800 games, because not a lot of people got into it. I was the only kid in my neighborhood that had one. And, like, it just like feels weird. Right. And now knowing that I can get an Atari product that plays 7,800 games, HDMI out, done. I'm in. Like, that's it. It's like it doesn't matter, And everyone's like fighting about the compatibility list and all that kind of stuff for the 2,600 games. I still have my Retron 77. It's not like it's going to go anywhere. I just don't care about for me personally, it's like it's a non-issue because this is probably going to just play a lot of 7,800 games, to be honest. And I'm looking at the compatibility list right now for the 7,800, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 untested games for 7,800. Every single other one of them passed. Yeah. So I'm imagining those other ones will probably work. So we're good.
The other thing that's really nostalgic too is for the fact that it'll have paddle controllers like for Breakout.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, if I do end up getting it, even though Breakout comes on that cart, I think I would still probably just buy it separately, just because I know like Breakout's one of those games that's like under $5, like for just it's like so cheap, like just for the experience. So like that's cool, just to be able to have the paddles. And see, that's the other thing too. Like locally, like then it's kind of like, well, there's different options. Like if you can find if you can find working paddles in like that game, then you don't have to get the new ones. So that's I like how they have the compatibility. And then of course like the Berserk remastered, like that, like
that's really cool that they're gonna put
they have like the voices.
I mean, it's pretty cool. And I like the fact that this effort's going to go into there. I'm also really liking the fact that, okay, here we are in this thing, and you're talking about like the 129 price point for the unit, right? Yeah, definitely going to get some homebrews. Probably me too. Yeah. Especially if they work, right? If this is like the thing that you can use to start playing your homebrews on modern TVs, man, this is a great thing, right?
Heck yeah.
But the accessories are not bad at all. $24.99 for the classic joystick.
No,
CX Plus, awesome. $39.99 for a paddle, 2 sets of like a set of paddle controllers, which is 2.
You have to have 2, yeah.
And the cart that comes with games, awesome. That's fine. And then the games themselves, like you get a brand new cartridge with a box and a manual for $29.99 for Berserk that has enhanced stuff. Mr. Run and Jump, which is a brand new game.
Yeah.
Like, awesome. That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, they're gonna start doing that.
I'm cool with it. Now there's some other concerns too, and Mr. Shua actually up here in the chat did say that. Called out to Phantom saying, hey, the only thing I'm questioning is, will this disrupt the Polymega module that we'll be getting eventually?
Oh.
I don't think so. But will it hurt the module's chances of selling? Maybe, because it might meet other people's needs. Like for me, specifically, I was super excited about that module because it meant I could go ahead and archive all my games on my Polymega, and it's great and awesome. Well, now it's going to be, this is a convenience item to me because I can get my official Atari console and play not only 2,600 but 7,800 games on through HDMI, and I don't need a flashback. I don't need to do weird things on my 7,800 to get it to run through a VCR or something like that. Like, I just plug it in and it works. That might deter me from the $79.99 it's going to cost to get that module. However, eventually, if I go all in on cartridges, which, I mean, I already have a ton of them that are still in that bag that's downstairs, ready for restorations, episodes, 30 through like a couple hundred probably.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of them. And if they all work, then great. I can do that. And at that point, yes, that convenience item might become like, well, I got lucky making sure that these worked once or twice or three times or however many times I'm going to get it before they stop working again, right? Like most of these restorations things, people, you need to realize these were all very, very wet. They were in 8.5 feet of water. Or 2.5 feet in the garage, or a couple of them were, like some of the Evercade stuff was in my van. Like it was, it got wet, right? So we don't know how long it's going to work with electricity and all that kind of stuff. You're hopeful, but you don't know. But that's when it becomes like the Polymega module becomes, okay, well, this is preserving my collection so that I can have the box or the cart on a shelf somewhere. But I've already got my ROMs here, and if I ever want to play them, I'll just play it on the Polymega. So because I don't want to have to mess with the cart.
Exactly.
But, and that's it. That's what would do it for me. But again, I'm a niche of a niche of a niche of a niche. You know what I mean?
Exactly. But I was going to say that I won't disrupt it because the they're open to selling their license. What it will force, though, because I wouldn't be surprised if Polymega was planning on making a separate one for 2600 and a separate one for 78. This will force them to combine it into one because that would be ridiculous having to pay. But
right.
It's purely going to be convenience because you hit the word that you hit the nail on the head of the smoking gun because you said official. So this isn't just like a third party. It's like Atari. It's what 30 plus. Like this is Atari's new official 2600. So there's a lot of nostalgia. Hey, this isn't just like a knockoff from China. This is an official. It's probably made in China, but this is an official console. It takes carts regardless of how it's emulated, and it's an official Atari console. So that's the whole reason to get this is you want the nostalgia. Now, I think if you're somebody if you already have a way to play 2600 or 1700 games, unless you're like Pete, I don't know if he's here, and you just collect it because you collect everything, or you might even fall to that category. It's like, hey, I love Atari. I want to get everything Atari. Then that would be the only reason. I think if you're somebody who has the original hardware, then no. I think this is mainly geared towards, or like retro enthusiasts and the general public, people like us or anybody that just wants to be able just to plug in a cart and not have to go through all the nonsense of getting a modified console or going to AV through a VCR and that's what it's for. But yeah, for me, I'm just thinking like would the novelty wear off and I'll be like, oh, okay, I scratch that itch and then I maybe occasionally bring it out. I don't know. You know what I mean? That's gonna. I definitely you have more of a practical use for it for definitely like streaming that stuff. Like that makes that makes sense. But then I'm like, well, now maybe that might have another market where you might start seeing more homebrews. I tell you, like what is one of like the awesomest aftermarket homebrews is Popeye for the 7800. If you've seen that, like that, and then I want to say like I think it's called like the Pac-Man collection. I don't know. They did like a remake of Pac-Man or Miss Pac. Like they remake the games to like what they should to what they should be to be like as near arcade perfect, but you still have the charm of the console. So like if those worked, and you know what I would be curious because I want to use a controller, even though I could play like if I did end up getting it, even though I could play Food Fight on my Evercade. I would buy that. It's like, that cart's I don't think it's ridiculous. I think that's like maybe under $10 as long as it's not like $50. I would buy that again just to have the experience.
Yeah.
So absolutely. I don't know. It's kind of, for me, what I might do is take the Papa Pete approach, which I think he just said, like, he's like, something like, I'll probably, I think he said like, he'll eventually get it, but he's just not going to pre-order it, just to kind of make, I think that's how I'm going to play just to kind of see, like when you do a video, John Hancock does a video and kind of like see like does it live up to everything? What's the compatibility?
Right.
And then I think at that point, now the good thing going forward, I hope that maybe it sets the standard that hey, companies, if you're going to put out a console, give us the cart slot, right?
Yep.
Give us the cart slot.
Absolutely. That's 100%. I mean, I think now that this kind of thing would exist, maybe we don't need the flashbacks anymore. Maybe we need, like re-releases of hardware basically with a modern aesthetic. Like how rad would it be to get a top loader NES with an HDMI port on it? Like
but
from
Nintendo.
That's kind of cool. I mean, obviously I'm looking at my Retron 5 right here. It's like, okay, you could do that too, but
I'm glad you brought that up.
How cool would it be?
Because we both know Nintendo that will never, I can confidently say that'll never happen. Because they want you to buy those games and pay for the service on their Switch or whatever, which is a shame. But I know, you know what I mean. But like,
but how rad would that be though?
Oh, that would be incredible.
See, and then if they had like official re-releases, right?
Yes.
Just real quick, I want to hit on Rake's comment because I left it up there. 100% for the global market. I would have loved there to be like, oh, hey, there's the Atari 2600 Plus, and then there's the Atari VCS Plus, and the VCS Plus is a VCS that has a cartridge slot in it. That would be cool. Or a cartridge, like a cartridge thing that you plug in via USB to do that on the VCS. That would be kind of cool, right?
I bet they've thought about that, and they might. But I think like you said, it's like the numbers speak for themselves. Like they know like this will reach a lot more of a mass market. You don't have, but for existing VCS owners, that would be cool.
100%, 100%.
But then again, though, I think they want you to buy. I think they want you to buy the games digitally on the VS store.
But yes, I mean, and 100% to this end, right? Let's see Atari make some more kart games. Like let's not have Berserk Enhanced and Mr. Run and Jump be the only two that they do.
See, that would be a shame.
But how awesome is it that you have like Berserk coming out with the Atari logo or whatever? Because it's an Atari property, right? Atari owns Berserk, so they can do that, which is awesome.
You know what I want them to do too?
And Mr. Run and Jump, the fact that they did like that, like the 2600 version alongside the version you can buy on Steam and Atari VCS, it's awesome.
Yes,
it's really cool.
You know what I want them to do too? I want them I like how they have the box versions. I want them to also just come out with like unboxed versions. Because like if I start because if I get this and I start collecting games, chances are like I'm not gonna have anything boxed just because that's kind of the way you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. And so then I wouldn't necessarily and then that makes it kind of weird. But that way, if you have all your carts like stacked in a shelf, they go together better. I don't know. Maybe it's a weird thing.
No.
But I was also surprised too that it doesn't come with a dust cover. I mean, you could always 3D print one, but it didn't come with a dust cover.
That's true. Well, I mean, but as far as the dust covers go, I mean, I don't have mine anymore because it was down there. But we had for a little bit there was the official Walk Down Alzheimer's dust cover.
Oh yeah,
pretty good. The Atari Creep. He was printing them like mad, which was really awesome. It's kind of the same gamble on a lot of cartridges from game stores. I mean, they do clean up well. As long as you're using the right material and you're not going too hard, you can do it. The only sad part about it is if you really want to get into the deep clean on the cartridge, then like you gotta because on my cartridges I have no choice because that's 40-year-old glue on the cartridge that had already gotten wet and resealed. So like I can't use like an iron or whatever and peel the label off and stick it back on. Right. So like I have to poke to get to the screw, which is the only thing that's annoying for me. Again, I don't mind because I just want the game to work.
Yeah, as far as the retros, like if you're buying it like at a game convention, you're kind of taking chances because you may not be able to track them down. But I know like most like local stores, if it doesn't work and you have the receipt, I know you could, usually most. Now I can't speak for every store, but in most stores, at least you could bring it back and they'll clean it or exchange it, something like that.
Yeah, and 100% agree, Mr. Shua. Like, because not only is like as far as ET goes, right? Like I know it's infamous and all that kind of stuff or whatever. But yes, like it. I would love that for Howard to be able to do that if he wanted to, just to kind of say like, hey, if they gave me this amount of time, this is what you would have gotten. And here it is. Boom, there it is.
Well, you know what? Technically, he doesn't have to because I think I've seen hacks floating around or that I meant maybe on Atari Age where they fixed all the issues.
Yeah, well, there's that too.
Yeah, but they could get Warshell like, hey, like if you had the time to kind of do that and fix it, then that would really be like a real re-release and like that would be a much better quality. Like that would be pretty cool.
And he does address that in his like his like little memoir kind of thing, the Once Upon Atari. He does address like if he had the time to do it again, would he want to? And I think he landed on no, because he just rather the history happened already, right? All the stuff that happened in his life and all the tumult or whatever and the adventure of just doing the game, it already happened. So it's like he wouldn't know how to go back in time and forget everything that happened in order to fix it. But it would be cool. It would be cool if he did it.
So here's another question, something I'd like to see them do, but could be controversial. It would be great. Like, let's say like some of the really stupid, expensive games like Halloween.
Oh man. Well, so I mean, obviously that would be like, again, licensing stuff, right?
Yeah.
But if Atari's going out and buying licensing, if they're going out to Stern and they're buying Berserk and Frenzy and all that other kind of stuff, yeah, why not? Why not go back and buy the licenses for Wizard Games and get Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Halloween.
Well, they couldn't get Texas
Chainsaw
Chainsaw Massacre because they'd have to update because that's not playable. That's one of the fails.
Well, yeah, but
if they fixed it,
if they fixed it, and then they put it out and be like, hey, your original cart won't work, but for $30 you can get this one, or 40 because we had to pay the license or whatever.
Yeah.
Any hope Atari comes up with 2 new carts a month like the Evercade? I mean, new games. I don't know, man. I don't know. Like they're not going to come out with that quick, but I guarantee you there are going to be new games that are coming. I would guarantee at least 2 new carts a year.
Yeah,
for sure, that will come out that'll be compatible with this thing. And if it takes off, then yeah, I mean, I could see like 1 every 2 months. Like instead of 2 every 2 months, like Evercade, just 1 every 2 months. I could see that happening as a nice cadence, alongside with maybe modern games. Like say they do a recharge of something, and then they put a updated 2600 cart of the game that they did the recharge on. I could see that happening. Oh man, if they got involved with Microsoft, now that this deal seems to be good, going through, heck yeah, man. If they bought from Microsoft all of the Activision titles and brought them back to Atari, oh my goodness.
See, that would be that
would be oh my. I would just.
And you know what they could do, Rich, and Phantom definitely kind of speaking. I could see them releasing like carts maybe that had like 5 or 10 games, and so
yeah, that's a way to do it, right?
Yeah, that would be better.
Yep. I mean, they're doing it with the cartridge that comes with the system, so like that's a precedent, right? That could be like almost like a hand reveal that like I mean, there's hundreds of games that came out, and there were still hundreds of games that came out that were first party. Like go back to the compatibility list. There were 3 rows of 37 on the first page. So that's over 100 right there, plus another 20 something. So it's like 125 or something. Atari core games that they already own the licenses.
They take their popular ones like Collection 1, Activision 1, whatever.
Yeah, I mean you could do that, and then again, start scooping up some of the third party stuff. And you can get that going. It's funny though that it's really really funny though that like published by a third party. Well, I guess maybe Atari did publish Berserk, but they didn't like they licensed the game, but they published it on their own. He had the Atari quarterly multi-cart release. That would be kind of cool.
I think if they do that, and the price range is between $10 to $20, depending with or without the cart, depending on packaging. Yeah, they can like the Evercade. Maybe something we'll talk more on Evercast. But see, so here's the thing that I wonder now is I wonder at this point if Atari is going to say, hey, we're not going to release any more console collections for the Evercade, like no more 2600, no more set, because now we have our own thing. Doesn't mean I think they would be more likely to come out with like an Atari Arcade 2.
Yeah, but I still think,
or they could do both, because maybe they're like, hey, we'll make money off of both. We don't care.
That's I think is the method.
They're not stingy.
I don't see anything that tells me that Atari would start to pull back on any kind of revenue opportunity, especially since that they fought so hard to get into the position they are in now.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I'm not Wade Rosen, right? So like, it's not like I would know exactly what they're going to do, but it just, it doesn't feel to me like if they did that or didn't, like if they went that route to try to like, oh, well, let's protect our assets and only put it out on our thingy. I think that's a recipe for stepping in stuff they don't want to step in.
Two things we don't know. I wonder if it's going to be something like the Retron where you boot it up and there's a menu. Are they gonna have save states? We know that they're gonna have a widescreen mode. If you don't do widescreen mode, like what would be awesome? Like would it depending on the game, would it automatically just put the border up? Like you play Adventure, show you you know what I mean?
Yeah, it would be kind of cool. Yeah, I mean you never know, right?
Yeah.
And like I said though, like the one question that I had, I was like a press kind of question for them is like is this thing going to be updatable via any kind of firmware flashing or updating? And if the answer is yes, then the sky's the limit.
Yeah, I think they have to for 2 reasons. For one, compatibility for firmware. It's funny, I saw like the first comment, somebody on Twitter was like, what, no 5200? And they said, and of course somebody would say, and they said, well, because of the cart slot. But what they could do, though, to your point, Rich, they could very well just come out with an adapter, just like they had back in the day. And then now you pop that in the slot's wider. They have a firmware update, and boom, they have a 5200 emulator, and there you go.
Yep. Yeah. Well, and that's and you could wind up doing that, but then it introduces all sorts of weird things too. Like, okay, yeah, you want the 5200. All right. Well, they're gonna start manufacturing new 5200 controllers, because some of those you have the unique controller options because it has the touchpad thing and the like the different buttons and all that kind of stuff. Like, it's a
wide slots.
that new Atari is silly.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, I really think the
add-on.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's and again, well, so Pete already has his module, and he has a number of different ways to play, right? So, like, that's perfectly fine, right?
I'm torn because I
agree about the library, but yeah, it is it'd be weird to do it. Plus, it's a different architecture, so like actually emulating that requires different things. Like the 7800 was the console that kind of like brought it all back to them, but it was like one of those. It's also unfortunate because it was like a little too little too late, right?
I mean, I'm fine if they never do
it.
I'm fine if they never do that. I think between the two you get enough money. But yeah, there are the different dilemmas. Like, it would be cool popping in the carts using paddles. But then, like, if more Atari collections are going to come out on Evercade, would that be good enough? You know what I mean? It's like, and then, like I said, for some strange reason, I still kind of want like a modified Game Boy or something that for nostalgia. I don't know. Sometimes I think, well, I don't want that because I have Evercade. And if I really did, I'd emulate it on Steam. I don't know. It's all weird kind of dilemmas going through my brain. And that's the other thing I think about too. Like, I do like have Atari 50. I can play a lot of the games on on deck. Like, if I really, I mean, granted, I wouldn't have like the controller or anything, but if I really wanted to, I could plug that into my TV. I probably could buy a Bluetooth. You know what I mean? So it's just, but the great thing that this console does is plug and play HDMI, and you can just pop in the carts. That and I think it will still give you that feeling of nostalgia. If the build quality is there that we see for the trailer, which I would like to believe that it's going, that it's going to be.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And the good news is about all this stuff. Yeah, we're gonna find out soon enough anyway. Like, it's coming out November 17th, so like I've already got orders in because I was reminded very heavily by certain members of my family that when I was like, I got really excited about it. I was like, oh yeah, I did this thing, I did the news line, it's gonna be awesome, it's really cool. And they're like, wait, when is it coming again? We're like, November 17th. And they're like, do you realize when that releases? Do you like almost exactly? Do you know what that is? I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's kind of close to my birthday and also kind of close to the holidays. And they're like, yeah. And it's like, and then like, it was my mother-in-law that pointed around. I was like, do you know what you're also notorious for? I'm like not allowing people to just get me stuff. And they're like, yeah, so you should not do the ordering, and you should like just tell us what you want. I'm like,
okay. Yeah. I've kind of thought about like if I did get that, I'd get with the base package maybe, or maybe not Berserk. But then my dilemma is, if I do that, then I can just trade in some other. I can still trade in like some GameCube and
right
other Evercade carts that are duplicates, and then get some credit, and then maybe pick up some 2600 games and some 7800 games before the prices go up. Because I definitely, I think if nothing else, if this takes off, I think this will make 7800 games go up.
I absolutely agree with you. Because it gives people a reason to go get them and play them.
Yes.
So, and then there'll be certain ones that'll spike and certain ones that won't. But I
think 2600 not as much, just because there were just like
there's so many of them and they're everywhere. So yes. Well, and also the Retron has existed. The 77 has existed now for at least 3 years.
Thank you. And it hasn't driven up. Yeah.
So I mean, there's just I can go all day long to Retro Classics in Somerville and get $5 2600 games, and a lot of times, because they're awesome, if you buy in bulk, they'll give you a discount anyway. They could buy in like 10 at once. They'll just be like, please get rid of these things for us.
And so, you know what I might do, and I thought about if I did get that, I think I could get like the 10 or so games that I had growing up as a kid, and then like my neighbors had. I didn't own Frogger, one of my neighbors, but I would pick up. But things like Pac-Man, of course, just for nostalgia. It comes with adventure.
Yeah.
Some of those other ones, but
Right.
Some Activision. Although I think I think Hero is still like $50 if the label is good. Like I think there's a few like expensive.
Yeah. Yep. So Mr. Shua says, and this is a great question to kind of end this on because we're about to wrap up.
Yes.
But favorite 7800 title, you can only pick one. That's rough for one because I do have many, even though the library isn't big, but I do have actually many that are in my favorites. So Pete chimed in and Dark Chambers, greatest game on 7800. I want to say that would be the one. But for me, it's different because I never had Dark Chambers until I got Dark Chambers on the Evercade. And then I was like, wow, this game is so good. So 2023 Rich knows that Dark Chambers probably is my favorite because I now have been introduced to it. But just based on the fact that I had some experience but not amazing experience, I'm going to go with Phantom.
Yes.
And Food Fight because I had Food Fight and it was amazing.
Dude, I never played Food Fight until I had it on the Evercade, but I loved it. I loved it so much in the controls rule, and also too like playing Centipede. So I definitely want the Centipede. And I could imagine, and that's why playing it with the joystick and all the different angles. Like even like I'm playing the arcade version on the deck, I can only use analog stick. So just to have that experience, Food Fight all day. Yep. Food Fight all day long.
Galaga is awesome as well. That's another great pick, and an off the wall pick because I played it so much, even though it's not amazing. And we have it on the C64 collection too. Now is Tower Toppler.
Oh, okay.
So I played the wheels off of Tower Toppler. And I just don't know why, but I did.
I would like to play Double Dragon for it. Would be kind of cool. Even playing like Ninja Golf on it. So yeah, there's definitely like I would probably re-get most of the ones on Evercade. Again, if these are like $5-10 games, like I kind of feel like I want to say that because I think like in trading credit I would have like around $100. And I think like if I did that, I could splurge and I could get myself like 10, 2,600 games, 5. You could probably get like 20 games, like a combination of like
you could go nuts with $100. You could really do serious damage to
it. And before the prices go up, so I'm like, oh,
yeah. I mean, there are going to be some that are going to be like some of them are harder to find, and then some of them are going to be just expensive because of the nature of what they are. Yeah. Like Ninja Golf, for example, is actually it's an uncommon game, but it's kind of expensive when you compare them. Mario Brothers 7800 is another one.
Yeah, it would be fun to try. But see, I still have paper Mario for GameCube because there's some sentimental value, but I would trade. Yeah. But I think I could get like 60 or 70 in trading credit plus some Evercade duplicates. So yeah, that's why I'm like I could. So then I'm like, then if I like get it for like Christmas, then it's like, hey, then technically I've spent $0 of my own money, and then it might be supper time.
Well, Pete's out of here. He's going to supper time, and we're getting out of here too.
Yeah.
So, real quick, final thoughts. You got anything coming before Saturday?
No, I do. You know what? I know. I probably should. I'm. There's definitely like a few games I've been like dying, like some like indie games and stuff I've been dying to cover, like on Steam Decks. I probably should at some point, but I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No. Yeah. I gotcha.
I don't know. I think like with Evercade, it's kind of taken over some of that excitement. Of course. I think next week on my main channel, I think I'm either gonna do it. People seem to like when I did like an update video after playing like the Pico 3 collection for 2 weeks. Good night, Phantom. So I think I might do that either with Sydney Hunter and/or Pico Arcade because I think it's kind of nice to do a follow up after you get to go through and play the collections more. So I think I might do that. Yeah, I do want to get back into putting off those different retro videos that don't fit on my channel here.
Nice.
And I do, and I do miss your one coin arcade.
Yep. Yeah. I think what I'm gonna do is because we had the break where I was out on vacation and the others. I think there was like 3 or 4 more requests that were in random chats. I'm thinking about maybe doing another night at the arcades.
Ooh.
So we'll just do another live stream and do like 3 or 4 and catch up again. So that'll be coming up soon. That was fun. It was fun to hang out with everybody too. So I think that's gonna happen. And then for the regular channel stuff, man, I still have, I want to say I still have 6 videos in the can that haven't released yet.
Dang.
That I've shot. Like it's crazy. Plus I have a nasty habit now of almost every morning shooting a new video and putting it out before any of the other stuff that's in the can. So it's like there's a ton of stuff that's gonna wind up.
Rich's Restorations. That's what I can't wait to see more. There's
a new one coming out for regular viewers tomorrow. GTC members like Phantom and Mr. Shua and Pete, the Ever Canadian. Actually, that was the 3 GTC represent, by the way. If we hello Siri.
While we're giving shout outs, Phantom and Pete, they're also members of my channel. And so are you. So.
Yep. So he's like tomorrow drop one. Actually, Mr. Shua, that's a great reminder. I might have to put next week's regular episode of the restorations in the can for you guys for the GTC because tomorrow is an Evercade episode of the restorations, and I've got another one right away. So could be good times. Could be good times for everyone else. But anyway, that is all for tonight here on Calling All Retro Gamers. Thanks everyone so much for hanging out and being awesome. And you'll see our happy faces on Saturday again.
Heck yeah!
Do some more Evercast.
We'll finish up Jellicoe Arcade. We might talk a little bit about the Atari and how that affects Evercade.
Yeah,
who knows?
That'd be cool. And get Crow and Pete's opinion on it. That'd be kind of neat. So, anyway, until next time, guys.
Yep.
Catch you later.
Bye.
See you.
Calling all retro gamers.
This concludes our broadcast day. Click.